IPD's called the things he says Danisms. And he said, you have a cookie. He said, you've got the cookie and everybody wants the cookie. And I love that because if y'all know me, I love a good analogy. And I could just see, you know, having this cookie in your hand and wanting to share it with somebody. And it's all in the way you approach them with it. If you just say, oh, here, you want one of these cookies? And they're like, well, I don't know, is it good? And you're like, yeah, it's okay. They're probably not going to want it. But if you're like, oh my gosh, is it good? My grandma makes it and you've never had a better cookie. It's all that excitement and that approach. So for me, just changing all of that made all the difference in my comfort level with, you know, finding coaches. So every call is a success. I loved it when he talked about that. And that's so true. It doesn't matter what answer you get. It's the answer you wanted, right? Whether it's a no or yes or not now. So that helped me to get out of that click and share mindset, because it's easier for me to say, oh, I'll shoot you a video on coaching. And I don't really have to do too much, right? Just share the video. But that's just not the great approach. Getting them on the phone is the better way. You can talk to them and be more one-on-one with them. And so I just wanted to, you know, say, follow what's proven, you know, lock in with your mentors and do those tip calls. And you will find your rhythm with this. And I think Dan gave the analogy of finding your music. You'll find your music with this and you'll find what works for you. And then Frank's going to share some things. We've made a lot of mistakes, y'all. And we've learned a lot. So he's going to share some of the things that worked for us and what didn't work for us. And Frank?
Yeah, so Shauna, first of all, is being very kind when she says we made a lot of mistakes. It's actually, I'm the one that made a lot of mistakes. Okay, I've made a ton of mistakes and I'm still making mistakes. Okay, and I will make mistakes all the way into IPD and beyond. And I know that, and that's okay. So in the very beginning, when we were bringing on coaches, one of the first mistakes I made was, if they could fog up a mirror, they were a coach. Okay, I didn't care what their qualifications were. I didn't care who they were, if they were on program or not on program. I didn't care. I brought up coaching, and if they said yes in any form or fashion, boom, they were a coach. Now the problem with that was a lot of them weren't ready to be a coach. Okay, and I was a great salesperson. I could talk them into coaching. So that was the first mistake I made. The second mistake I made was, as I was prejudging, I was constantly prejudging. I would say, you know, they don't need coaching. They're a lousy client. Well, how would they be a good coach, right? They're skinny, they're overweight, they have lots of money. And I was just every excuse. They don't know anybody. I was prejudging everybody. So I had to learn to put those things, voices out of my head. And the third mistake, I really just got to share an analogy with you. Let's say you're in a grocery store and you run, well, yeah, okay, even with COVID, you're in a grocery store and you run into an old friend and you say, wow, I'm so excited. This weekend we're having a cookout. We're cooking hamburgers and hot dogs. We're having mashed potatoes. We're having potato salad. We're having all the fixings. We're going to shoot off fireworks. We're going to have music and it's going to be so much fun. And then I take my cart and I walk away and I go shopping, and maybe 3 or 4 days after the cookout, I run back into my friend and I say, hey, how come you didn't show up? We missed you. You know what my friend's going to say? You never invited me. You told me how great the cookout was, but you never invited me. And that's what I was doing with coaching. I was dripping coaching. I was talking about coaching, but I really never, so many times, never said, I think you would be a great coach. Why don't you join us? I never invited people. So I got bold. And one of the people that I got bold with was with the person I want to introduce you to. Okay, she's a physician. She's highly educated. She's got advanced degrees. She's not only a primary care physician, she's in sports medicine. Very, very smart. She's like she's like 1,000 times smarter than me. Okay, but I invited her to be a coach. And I want you to hear what she's doing. She's already gone to executive director. She's a phenomenal executive director, and she's like a rocket going to IPD. And she's got a ton of coaches on her team that she's bringing on. I want you to hear from Ciata Dunbar.
Whoa. Thank you very much, Frank. That is very flattering. I guess I'll give my little 2 cents. This has been an amazing journey for me. I am a work in progress, and I always will be. So a couple things, I guess, from my perspective that I sort of have done recently, and oddly enough, I actually reached out to Shauna and Frank, which I think has been, one thing that has helped me stay engaged is I am always reaching out to them and saying, okay, let's talk. Here's my next goal. How do we reach that goal? What am I doing wrong? What's your guidance? So I would encourage people to always reach up 1, 2, 3, whatever you have to do to garner that knowledge, because that has been amazing for me, because they've always had little tidbits along the way. So that's been really helpful. The one thing that I did was I went back, and it started because of the FIBIC training. And in the first session of the FIBIC training, they said, go back. If you haven't done it, or if you haven't done it in a while, go back and redo the fundamentals. And I started doing that. And I realized 2 things. And pretty much any presentation we listen to, it talks about the 3 things: mindset, motivation, and skill set. And there are 2 things that I think I have picked up that I think have really shifted things for me. One was skill set, in the area of skill set, and the other was in the area of mindset. And oddly enough, it's the exact same thing that Shauna picked up, which was Dan started one of the presentations with, are you a health coach? Are you a business person that happens to be a health coach? And from that moment, the exact same thing. It shifted, because what I realized is that I have a business opportunity as opposed to just a weight loss program. And that has changed how I talk about it to certain people. It has changed the benefit that it has for certain people. So that mindset has shifted in me to the point where my posting on social media has gone from just health talk and wellness talk to coaching and the value of coaching, which has bared some fruit already. In fact, I just brought someone on as a client that already has said she wants to coach, but she wants to sample. So that mindset shift has been huge. So I would encourage people to really think about yourself more as a business person rather than just a weight loss. The other thing from a mindset perspective was, he said something about it shouldn't be a wish or want, it has to be a need. And when I realized that it is a need, that's a different set of fire in the belly. And that has changed tremendously. And then the last thing for motivation or for mindset was, are my thoughts leading me to what I want? He talks about, what is your internal dialogue, and is it positive? Is it encouraging? So shifting that thinking, am I motivating myself to head me in the right direction? And the last skill set thing was to split the approach and the present. That has been revolutionary. And if I could encourage anybody, if you're not doing it, redo that fundamentals and split it, because that has made the difference on me talking to my own colleagues as physicians and PTs and physical therapists. Splitting those 2 things has made a world of difference. So definitely go back and redo that training, because it has completely shifted things.
Awesome. Shauna, did you have anything else that you wanted to add in?
No, I cannot follow that. That was amazing. I just would encourage everybody to watch it if you haven't watched it. It's a great training. Thank you.
Yeah,
Dan.
thank you. And great job sharing. I think somebody said thank you for your vulnerability. And that would just be one thing that I would reinforce, you guys, is that it's very easy to look at somebody else and think they've got it going on, right? That, it's easier for them. Their circumstances are different. The people they interact with are different or whatever. But the reality is it's not. It's really about being willing to just have the courage to step into taking chances and doing things different, being a little bit uncomfortable. A lot of people ask for the script. What do I say? What do I, and Dan talks about that quite a bit. So Shauna referenced, if you want to go back and watch the training, Dan gives verbiage for like every scenario, client, health professional, niche market. He gives the examples. But one thing he's really, really clear on, and it's so in line with what we talked about before, is is your mindset around the business and your motivation. That is more important, how you feel about it and the energy about it, than the actual words that you give it. And one thing that he said that really stood out to me, and something that was a game changer in our business, was he said, how big do you see? How big do you view the business? How big do you view this? Because who you're sharing it with and the way you're conveying it, that's what they're receiving. And it might be that it's time to step it up to seeing it bigger, like that. Even if your experience has not been one that maybe you're not where you want to be yet, you have evidence around you that Optavia provides the skills, the training, and help with the motivation and the mindset
and the
around
resources,
that, and the resources. And again, bring in your mentorship. You also heard, I think, everybody say they rely on their mentorship. And those early calls, those early conversations you're having with people, they're intended to be done in a 3-way conversation with your coach, so that they can help you with the verbiage. They actually lead and model for it, just like we do with the health assessments, right, with a new coach. But what I would say, I always say this, we play the long game. So what we do is we talk to a lot of people, and we keep the relationships open and the dialogue going. And sometimes it takes a while, right? A no very often just means not yet. And in fact, we've got a couple of people on the call tonight that, Julie Apple is a great example, that she worked with Larry. Larry spotted her as a potential coach candidate. So we reached to her directly about the coaching opportunity. She was starting out as an entrepreneur in the fitness industry. She had things she needed to work through. But when the timing was right, by staying in touch and staying connected, then she said yes, because it fit a need, which is exactly what Seattle said. We are fitting a need for somebody else. Natasha Storm is on the call tonight. I can't even tell you how many years we've been working together, working towards this. And today was the day. It was time for her to move forward as a health coach. So patience is a virtue, for real. And it is a matter of talking to a lot of people, but many of the top leaders in our organization are people that Larry and I approached directly about the business. And Dan talked about, he said, he drew the snowman, and he said, the little piece is your clients. The next piece is people that are searching for a business opportunity. And then the biggest piece is everyone else. And he said, if we're focusing just right here on our clients for coaches, we are very, very much limiting ourselves and other people to the opportunity that Optavia can provide to them. I do have one person I want to speak, but I'm sure you've got some stuff to say.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add one of the things that Dan says, again, and Dee mentioned about the words and how to present it. At the end of the day, though, it still has to be your own music. Right? It has to come from you. People are attracted to you. Each one of you has your own brand, okay? And your own way of connecting with individuals. Don't change that, because that's what attracts them to you, okay? So again, incorporate in the business and the points about the business into your own music, into your own brand. And again, don't try to be somebody who you're not. So I like that one, the little music, as far as keeping that going there. So.
Yeah, that is a really good point. I can't tell you how many probably years I wasted thinking, well, if I was only so-and-so, I would be able to talk like so-and-so and attract like so-and-so does. And it was really until I started believing in myself. And really, now, I get so excited about this business opportunity that I honestly, I was sharing with a coach today, we lead with the business most often. And when you do that, your client base will naturally increase at the same time. And your client base will then be filled with people that are actually considering coaching, which is a really nice thing to do. Whereas if we're working only with our client population base, it's not always going to be for everybody. Right? It's just not. So you want to be out and looking for people in your world. And it's such a gift. I want to share, have Lisa Bloom share with us, because Lisa is a great example that Lisa and I knew each other outside of Optavia. She entered because of the business, and therefore does a really great job identifying people for the program and for the business. And Lisa, I was just hoping you could share a little bit with the team.
Yeah, thanks, Dee. It's funny, you guys. I became a coach about 2 years ago, end of June, and went to convention 3 weeks later. And I was sitting in one of the convention sessions where they talked about sponsoring, and the light bulb went off. And I literally picked up my phone and started messaging people about the business opportunity, because I thought, okay, well, this is what I came for, right? So who else wouldn't want to do this? And I was in a bit of a unique situation because I come from a professional coaching background. And I always say the irony is that I didn't need to spend all the time and money becoming a professional coach to be an Optavia coach. But I started reaching out to all the people I knew who had gone through professional coach training and who were trying to build businesses as life and leadership coaches, and who, many of whom latched onto this as an add-on to their business. And so I just kind of got into that rhythm of offering the business opportunity, kind of like you do, Larry and Dee, because it's, when, first of all, we know, right, a lot of people right now, especially, and always, are looking for another job or a side hustle or another source of income. And so for those people who want that business opportunity, they're going to treat it like a business. And some of our clients will too, but I think they're not the rule, they're the exception, right? Because our clients who come into this looking for the program, obviously if we awaken them well to the opportunity, it's a little bit different. But when you're talking to someone and the initial conversation is about a business opportunity, it's very, very different. And they treat it very differently, typically. So I think that is, that's a big takeaway. And it's funny, even 2 years later, I'm hearing it for the first time and going, oh yeah, oh, that's right. We should, we are business people who happen to be health coaches. And I think when we, not only does that change how we operate within our business, it changes how we approach other people about the business. And it's true, that little snowman head, right? Like I admit I've fallen into that as my business grew and I had a bigger client base. I became super focused on all of my clients and thinking, why won't any of them become coaches? And I sort of stopped looking outside of that small snowman head, and got really frustrated. And then said, okay, let me broaden my horizons, and even had a conversation with one of my coaches about this same thing. Let's broaden our horizons and look at different arenas. And so now I'm starting to even look in different places. And just had a random conversation with somebody on Facebook today. And I said, oh, what are you doing? And she said, I'm looking for a job. And I went, really? What are you looking for? You just never know where the conversation is going to come up. So it does make a difference.
Well, thanks for sharing, Lisa. That was awesome, because, it's so important for us to recognize that it's a big world out there and there's a lot of people. And, one of the things I hear from time to time from coaches is that, people say no. And like Dee said, no means not yet in our world. And that's okay. That's okay. If we go back to Dan's training from, was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago? I get confused. But when he talks about, again, the approach, and if somebody says, yes, let's have a conversation, that's a win. That is a win, because you've brought somebody to the phone to have a conversation. So again, we have to understand the numbers in any business, and our business is no different than any other business out there. We have to talk to a lot of people, just like a brick and mortar stores. They have to have a lot of people come in the door, okay, and actually buy, right, for that brick and mortar store to actually stay in business from that perspective. So again, it's all about being there and being consistent, not just in our offering for business, but in our offering for coaching, and just letting people know. So it's really important to understand that concept. So again, thank you, Lisa, for sharing that. So we're almost at a wrap. We're doing great today as far as time. One of the couple things we just wanted to talk about as we're getting into this month, first of all, we talked about Optavia Live that's coming up in 2 weeks. Please make sure that you're inviting your folks and coaches, make sure by Friday. Okay, so they have to process to make sure everybody gets notifications and mail outs if you get goodie bags, right? And stuff like that.
For that. No, they just,
oh, it's too late for that?
So
Sorry.
your ticket or your guest by Friday.
Okay. Thank you. And then the other thing too, as far as where we are in the month, we're almost at mid-month. So again, please make sure you're again connecting with your clients. If we recall back to, I think it was last week or the week before, we had talked about the amount of volume that we had from the 2 months prior. So again, coaching your clients, again, it should be another fantastic month as far as volume. And again, coaching your clients really well and keeping them going is real important. So, and Lisa, you wanted to share one more thing?
Yeah. So, you guys, you know that coaching is the way that we build a strong equity business, right? It's where we get the passive income. It's how we build a big business. And it's how people like Frank and Shauna get to integrated national, and how Dee and Larry get to integrated presidential. And I'm reading a book called Overcoming Under-Earning. And it has been an amazing book. And I've read it a couple of times, I've listened to it a couple of times, but now I'm actually doing the work of the book, and I'm doing it in partnership with another coach friend as a book club. And so I'm actually, journaling and doing all this stuff. And one of the things I just want to share this, that I think as we get bigger and we grow bigger, it gets kind of scary. It gets scary, and we realize about ourselves that we think that we're not worthy, or whatever concepts we have around earning more money. And we get to a place, and I can speak for myself, like I've gotten to a place income-wise where I'm comfortable and it's working for me. And so I'm working really hard to stretch beyond that, and it's a big stretch. And I just want to encourage you guys that the work of working on yourself and your mindset really never ends. And it gets even a little bit harder, but it is so worth it if you can do it. And as we talk about sponsoring coaches, I just feel like that's the kind of thing that we need to move kind of beyond that, to move into that mindset where we're worth it. And so is everybody else that is latching onto this opportunity, because we are changing people's lives. So that's it.
Thank you, Lisa. I could feel the emotion in that. And you are so very right. It's scary. I think what I was hearing from everybody here, primarily, including some that I shared, is it's our mindset, you guys. It is either a lack of clarity of what we want, or what we think we're entitled to, or that we think we're capable of, or concepts, that stories. And, you have to ask yourself sometimes when you have a thought, is it true? Is it true, or is it a story that you're telling yourself? Because exactly like Vicki said, we have 54 people on this call tonight. 54 people that said yes. I mean, we're a smaller representation of the entire team. 54 people that said yes. 54 people that want more. You wouldn't be on this call if you didn't want more. And it's scary. I mean, I've shared with you my fears, and the growth that has had to happen and is still happening along the way. But to give you perspective, when you are just coaching clients, and if you're viewing this as a weight loss program, right? It's a good opportunity to have a conversation with your coach about that, because it's a concept. It's a way that you're viewing it, which is the way that it's then going to be modeled out to the world. But it's also, we want to help everybody get healthy, but we can get a lot more people healthy if you have business partners that are doing it with you. You're going to make a bigger dent in the universe if you partner with more people. It's also going to make it's going to take less of your time and make a greater impact for your family financially as well. And there's a lot of good things you can do with additional income that you can give to your family, or give to church, give to whatever. But I never quite understood the equity bit. It didn't quite make sense to me until it started happening. And our last paycheck, we looked at it, and we earned, you earn your money for what you earn for supporting your clients, and they pay us well for that. But what we learned by supporting an organization of coaches, the income from that was 10 times the amount that we earned by supporting clients. So it is significant, you guys. And just think of the grander impact that we're making together as a team.
And you're all worth it.
Yeah.
You're all worth it. Okay. So don't, V says never say don't to people, but don't shortchange yourself. You're all worth it. Okay. So with that, we're just, again, we're grateful for all you guys and the hard work that you're doing. Make it a great week. We've got good calls tonight coming up. Again, thank you to Shauna, Frank, Siada, Lisa. Did I miss anybody? D. Just thank you for contributing tonight. And we love you guys. Make it a great week out there, and talk to you soon.
Yeah, honor to partner with you guys. We'll see you on the next calls. Thanks.